Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your mowers will practically build themselves.
Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv. Welcome to today's show. Last week we worked on Fast and Furious Dom's GTX. We painted the body and we used some just Tester's Gloss Black. Now keep in mind that's not always how I paint car bodies, okay? I just wanted to show folks that have ever thought, I wonder if I could do that. Yes, it is possible. Yes, it turns out pretty good. Gloss Black probably wasn't the best choice. But hey, you might as well try the hardest one and see how it is. So now you've seen it. Today we are going to finish up this project. I'm going to do a little bit of polishing, and there's been other tutorials on polishing, so I'll just go over it briefly and then show you what else I did to get this car finished up. So stick with Mad Dog Merv as we finish up the Fast and Furious Dom's GTX.
Last week we took a little bottle of Tester's Gloss Black paint and we painted the body, and this is how it turned out. Now we're going to do some polishing, and when I do my polishing I use what I call wet water, which is just some water with a little bit of dish detergent added into it. It makes it a little bit more slippery and it helps remove some of the impediments. We're going to start out with a 3200 and move all the way up to 12,000 on our polishing pads. So let's get started. Here is our 3200. Now for the demonstration here, I'm not going to do the entire body, and I'm just going to go one direction to kind of show you how that looks. I'll go back later and I'm going to repolish this a little bit differently, but here it is after the 3600, and you can see that we're getting some of the little teeny imperfections out. Not a whole lot in this paint job, thank goodness. Going to move up to 6,000. And here's what it looks like. And by the way, I'm just going to do the top and I'm going to do the hood because I want you all to see what the rest of the body looks like when this thing is finished without polishing. This is just for this tutorial. Now here it is with 8,000 after I've polished it up, and you can see there's definitely some scratches in here from these pads. Now this was 24 hours after the body had been painted. And up to 12,000. And there's definitely a shine under there, but you can see what looks like a little bit of a pattern. So I'm going to take, sometimes I'll use just regular turtle wax, but right now I have this scratch and swirl remover, so I'm going to use a little bit of that on a rag and just buff it in by hand to the top and to the hood, and you can see the results. Wow, turned out really, really good. Again, I'm only going to do the top and I'm going to do the hood for now for the demonstration on this particular video. Now, one thing I did, and you might run into this problem when you're polishing, you'll take paint off of some of these other areas that you don't really want paint off of. Like, for example, any high spots when you polish tend to do this. So, oh, crap, what am I going to do? I don't want to have to go back and repaint the whole thing. Never fear, I'll show you how we fix this. And see back here along that edge, yeah, same kind of deal. So what I did, I've done this several different ways. I could use my airbrush and mix up some more of the paint and lacquer thinner and spray it on there and then rub it out. But really, let me tell you what works just fine for me. I'm going to take some of my enamel paint here, going to take some lacquer thinner and just use a little brush, a tiny brush, and cover those areas. And I'm going to go back over them. They're going to look fine. Now for the interior, I just used some semi-gloss black from Tamiya, sprayed the whole thing with it, and you can see a couple of areas here that I'm going to have to go back. I sprayed it when it was on the tree, so I'm going to have to go back and touch a few things up. But once it's assembled, the decals that come in the kit are really good for the gauges, and this is just using the Molotow chrome that I like to use. I put a little dab out and use a fine brush, and you can see I pick out all of these little areas and how it turned out. Not too bad. Has that nice vinyl or even leather look, but most of these interiors were just vinyl. So anyway, as far as the engine goes, put it together really quick. Didn't do anything fancy here at all, just put the 4-barrel thermal quad on it and the air cleaner and called it good. Nothing fancy with the paint. I don't know that I'll even go back and wire this at this point. It's an engine and it's in there. So here's how it looks when it's in the car. I did still need to paint my radiator hose and my distributor, but not too bad. I mean, it works. It works for what we're doing here. So went ahead and got the decals on the body, the rest of the decals, and for the underside, I decided to use kind of a concrete color for the chassis. Then I picked out certain areas, hit them with the semi-gloss black, like the forward frame and part of the frame rails in the back. Kind of a steel color for the gas tank. Then I gave the whole thing a wash with some of Larry's bath water, and you can see how that seeps into certain cracks and crevices. And once everything was dry, I went over it with kind of a medium to dark gray enamel paint with just a dry brush technique, and that gets all of these little details to just pop. So I like how that turned out. Pretty straightforward on the build and the colors used. Now, for the rims, I decided to use Tamiya's gunmetal. Yeah, gunmetal. Mixed that up and sprayed it on the rims. And actually those rocker panels there are actually also painted with it as well. And they're just painted right over the black, so it looks a little bit different, but the wheels were just primed gray and shot. Now the rims, the outside of them, I actually went over with some Molotow chrome on a brush and brushed that on there. I also picked out the lug nuts, and you'll notice that I added with just a little piece of sprue valve stem. So I like how those all turned out. A little bit, still that dark theme, but a little bit off from the rest of it. Now here we are with all of the decals and the lights in place. You can see the hood is nice and smooth. Now all of this white stuff all over it is dust. I had my air conditioner on. It's not in the paint. This is just stuff that trying to take this picture, I just kept getting dust in this area. So it's dust that does wipe off. You can see the trunk lid and the sides have not been polished. That's just how the paint went on, and it went on pretty darn good. The top has been polished. The hood has been polished. All in all, I really like how this turned out. I think it's a very good looking theme, this kind of all black theme. A mean looking car. Turns out very, very nice. You'll notice I didn't put the quarter window in, but I did put a door lock on it, which is kind of one of those things that I just like to do. I also did not put a antenna mast. Usually I will put an antenna mast on my cars. I'll put the door locks on, and I'll put the rear quarter window because those are almost always up. Decided not to do all that on this kit. And here we are with the GTX that we put together a couple months ago. And you can see the quarter window in that one. Definitely a different look with between the black and the one with the vinyl top. So, man, I wouldn't kick either of them out of my driveway, but I think I like that black one a little better. Well, hey, folks, thanks for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you again real soon.